Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You've got to make sure that you take risks, because that's where some of the speed is going to be at different points throughout the night. But also, have a look at that open field that you can fly off the edge of. Take risks. Sometimes there's some rewards, but if you push just over that line, forget it. You're down the hill, you're off the banking, and your night's just about over.
Absolutely. Oh man, you can even see the banking on the satellite imagery there with the shadow. That's really cool. Haven't really seen that on an oval track before, but really shows that these 13-degree turns the drivers are going to be making their way through, rather difficult to get right. Often the fastest line around this place, especially when the track has been run in, is to run the very top of that berm. You're just balancing your right rear over the edge of it and sort of role-playing Tony Hawk, as it were. Well, it's going to be a fun night for sure. Before we get into tonight's action, let's take a look at how things are standing here for the Oceanic Dirt Sim event crew. Ethan Winter on top in the Pennsylvania Challenge, with Nathan Vanderwacker second, and Zach Rattray White in third. Clayton Davies and Darcy Wilson equal for fourth, with Matthew Stables only another 2 points behind, incredibly close in the back half of that top 10. And all it takes is a great result for Vanderwacker and a bad result for Winter, Scott, and the swing is going to be complete there for this this challenge series.
Yeah, and that's it. And also the championship within the championship. How cool is that we've been able to say that right across the year? As well with the Pennsylvania Challenge. It's, you know, something a little bit unique. Obviously, NASCAR trialing it this year in the real world as well, which has been awesome to see. But for us, this is the championship. This is the big one that everyone wants to keep an eye on. Ethan Winters leads the way. Remember a comment I made a good while ago now where I said, man, look, maybe he doesn't have it this year. And that fired him up. How big a turnaround that he's been after this year. Defending champion, wants to make it his own, leads the way by 47 points.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super tough here for Ethan Winter and Clayton Davies. This is going to continue for quite some time, this split between them. Once again, though, all it takes is a bad round, and there's going to be a big swing, particularly for Joel Berkeley and Nathan Vanderwacker there, coming out of third and fourth. Only 5 points between them, and only 3 points between Matthew Gowans and Brady Baldwin up at the back half of the top 10. So this series has been super competitive in 2025, the most competitive season I've ever seen of ODSE racing, and I'm looking forward for it to continue. This is what's on the cards for tonight. We've got 8 lap heats with the top 4 advancing to the A main, and then C main of 10 laps and a B main of 12 laps, top 4 advancing from each, and the A main top 10 ordered once again from a redraw by our good friend the Spinny Wheel. The A main is going to be 35 green flag laps in length. Plenty of opportunities to go sailing over the top of that berm. This is also one of the most used tracks, Scott, that we have ever visited for ODSE. After tonight, we will have visited Lernerville 11 times.
Yeah, so there's your previous 10 winners. I cannot believe we're sitting here and saying, hey, we've got 11. So we've got 10 previous winners, and somebody's about to make their 11th name written up there in lights. That's so very, very cool. Tim Ryan, the last winner last time out. He's been in a search of a little bit of speed, a little bit of form. It might finally be able to get one done here tonight. Clayton Davies as well, right there alongside. Tim Ryan's got the most wins here in series history, though, with 3, which is a big number. 3 out of that 10 so far, 30% of the win rate. You know, it's very, very cool. One of the big things I like about the sprint car racing is that, you know, you look at all your other formats of racing in Australia and you go, hey, it's the same 2 or 3 guys. Not the case. Not the case on the dirt ovals at all.
No, absolutely not. A lot of variance involved with you know, the way tracks evolve over the course of an event, how many events there are, the sheer difficulty of racing these things in close quarters, not just late models, but sprint cars of the 360 and 410 type as well. Getting ready to move things forward a bit further in just a few moments, but as the drivers set their practice times here, they are running a sort of upper mid-line around the circuit at the moment. They're not quite touching the top of the berm yet, but I'm almost certain that they will once we get to sort of the C main, B main area of the night. And don't forget, the low line, though it is flatter, is also quite usable.
Just interesting, just listening to them hear about what they're talking in. One of the big things is, I think, as the night progresses, you already talked about, we're going to get up, we're going to top of the berm, but that's part of what makes Lernerville so special, is that you transition early on. That's not where you actually want to be running, is up against the fence, because there's going to be a little bit of speed down the bottom of the racetrack, and as that goes away, as that goes away, as that goes away, all of a sudden you shift higher, 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 higher. Then, right at the climax of the night, we're going to be getting to that point where we get right up and take the most risk, and one of our drivers back into pit lane, taking a lot of risk on the way into the lane. But yeah, the big thing about Lernerville is risk versus reward. How much risk are you willing to take, and how well do you think you can master that berm? Because it is the highest amount of punishment anywhere on the season.
Certainly is. Pretty much, whoa, goodness me. So Hadley Boyce encountering some difficulties there in his practice laps. Pretty much every event we've done at Lernerville, we've seen at least a few cars go flying over the top of that berm. So I wonder how many of these guys are going to get that done tonight. Joel Berkeley tops practice with Cole Ferguson and Lachlan Mead shadowing him very closely. Summers, Ryan, Walsh, Ames, Wilson, Stewart, and Ryan rounding out your top 10 in practice. Now, It is time for qualifying presented by Australian Speedway Results. Looks like Cole Ferguson, Joel Berkeley and Bradley Oldfield are some of the first drivers out there. We focused on the number 9 of Berkeley, who's had a pretty good mid-season, I have to say.
Yeah, he's been on form of late for Mr. Berkeley, and more importantly is his form on the spinning wheel. Has taken out, what is it? How many times has been in the top? I think it's like 4 or 5 times. I think he's got 3 poles out of the 5.
Yeah.
We'll see him go nice and early here in qualifying. Gets out early, sets the quick time at 12.239. However, the practice session was a touch quicker than that, so there will be some wiggle room in the speed category on that one.
Yeah, certainly will. That's Joel Berkeley's qualifying done, I think. And Thomas Mitchell's going to be one of the next drivers to set a time there. A lot of loose clay up the very top of the circuit there, so that might reduce the grip a little for drivers looking for that extra bit of pace. Densley and Ferguson, the next 2 drivers to get times in, and looks like they're not able to get within a 10th of Berkeley. Not even Harry Stewart can do that. Thomas Mitchell puts himself what is now 9th overall as Hadley Boyce and Matthew Gowans put their times in for 7th and 8th. John Schultz slots into 9th. Paul Ward,
Blake Walsh.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Blake Walsh with a 12.234. Only 6 thousandths of a second in it between himself and Berkeley. Once again, Blake Walsh has proven one of the stars of this season pretty much from the get-go.
Yeah, and he's been willing, again, driver that's willing to go out there, run in the slick, and have a car that's good at the back end of the feature. Could you imagine if he transfers into that top 5 and gets to start right up the pointy end of thing? Mightn't fire off all that quickly. Brenton Hobson at the moment is going to go out there and try and set the best of his potential lap times in the 88 machine. Goes to an 8.48, and he's going to be one of the first drivers up and over the banking.
Well, didn't quite go tumbling over like I expected him to, but regardless, he did a good enough job there to put himself solidly in the field there. Paul Bryan, the next driver to go quickest of everyone. Haven't seen Bryan go that quickly in a hot minute. He's had some good form the last few rounds, but Ethan Winter, the championship leader, the defending champion, goes to the top on a 12.165.
Yeah, that's huge right at the back end of the session, and clear by 0.5 of a second as well. Minute 15 seconds left on the clock, but it looks like we've got the bulk of the field setting times. Hobson actually didn't set a valid up time. Brock Thompson's where I'm looking. Tim Ryan, who's been quick here so many times. Can he manage to get the power down as he comes to the stripe? The time, what's it going to be? It's going to be a 12.218 on the board. Around about for lap number 2. See if he can improve as he sets off sail down into turn 3 and 4. Straightens it up, glances the wall. There'll be no improvement from the number 98.
Oh, it all went wrong right at the final part of the lap, and that would have been faster than his current lap. Goodness me, so close for Tim Ryan, and just like that, it looks like everyone who had the ability to set a qualifying time has set it. Only 20 seconds or so remaining in the session, so Tim Ryan just manages to get into the top 2 there, 1,000th ahead of Paul Bryan. Walsh and Berkeley round out your top 5. Ethan Winter will have your quick time once again thanks to Australian Speedway Results. Van der Wacker solidly in the middle of the top 10. This is pretty much a who's who of who we've been expecting to be up the front in recent rounds. Great performance from Lachlan Mead as well, going 8th fastest. It is time now to get into the heats presented by McSlide Race, and goodness me, we have got 5 heats coming up here today. 8 cars per heat and 8 laps per heat. Ethan Winter is going to start on pole for the first one, with Van der Wacker in second. Matthew Gowans and Darcy Wilson on the second row, with Daniel Boyd and Aston Hurley. Rounding out your top 6, Nick Mithen and James Oliver will keep each other close company on the back row of the grid. Let's get excited.
Here we go. Time to set ourselves off down to the start of heat number 1. I'll tell you what, excited for this one. I like the challenge that presents here at Lernerville, because we talked enough about it, but for the fans watching along at home, it is a challenge. Restart zone here tonight. We're looking at the pit lane exit. Basically ends just in front of where they rejoin the track right here. There's going to be a mark on the inside wall, which is a tire, first tire bundle as we enter down into turn 3. And then it's basically 3/4 of the way through the corner from there will be the end of the restart zone as well. Lines up with basically where pit lane exit finishes. So you can just sort of see there's, as the wall juts back to the left in what we're looking at there, those little protective bundles that are sit there on the wall to provide some cushion. Basically where those start is the end of the restart zone is what we're looking at the moment.
Right, a narrow margin to think about. You make sure that you get to full power within that zone. Otherwise, race control might start asking a few questions. Rolling out for the first of 2 formation laps before we get this heat started. Van der Wacker and Winter have both had plenty of success this season, but in what has been a very varied season in 2025, it's taken them a bit longer than they would have liked to get up there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the biggest things is, again, we talked about it each and every week, is who's going to make a mistake. So I've looked, see the first tire, sort of top left of the shot after the white barriers start. And then there's an orange cone on the inside there that is actually the marker for the end of the restart zone. So that's the quite critical part there. But yeah, I think one of the big things, we talked about it at length to this point in time, and we're going to keep on talking about it because it's such a big factor of season 2025. The ability to transfer out of the feature. We had a heat last week where all of the big names failed to transfer out of the heat. I can't say that just does not happen, right? So
yeah,
get the power down, but lock in and make sure that you're clean. You're going to sacrifice a little bit here in the heat just to get out of the heat nice and clean in the feature. Do your best work there.
Yep, and best work from Ethan Winter as he nails the start green flag in Heat 1. Van der Wacker holding the high line nicely in second spot as Matthew Gowans loses all momentum and comes under attack from Darcy Wilson. Big slide in the middle of the corner for Aston Hurley at the back of the field and into the wall there for Matthew Gowans. Darcy Wilson moves up into the top 3, and just like that, Gowans is out of the transfer.
Yeah, and that was a little bit of a lack of momentum coming off of 3 and 4. Here comes the slide job. Daniel Boyd will take it from bottom to top. He'll take the momentum away. Now it's Matthew Gowan's turn to reply. Gets the slide job done. Is Boyd going to send it back down into turn 3? You better believe he does. Back up and down through. He'll check the momentum. Now Aston Hurley's going to buy into the argument as well. Half the heat just about to go away when we get through 3 and 4 this time.
Yeah, Gowans is in a lot of trouble here. He's trying to get back into a rhythm, but Boyd and Hurley are much too relentless in their attack. Hurley gets into the wall, and now James Oliver decides it's time for him to go as well. Over the berm goes Aston Hurley, and there we go. We can check that one off. First driver over the top of the racetrack as these guys continue to fight over the last transfer position. A 3-way fight. Goodness me, the action is getting
that's a shoot
right at the start. Oh, they make contact there. And Matthew Gowans manages to hold on, but only just.
Yeah, and it was going to be James Oliver that was on the slide job. They'll come back around and grab the white flag. Daniel Boyd got to the back, but Matthew Gowans wasn't quite aware that there was a slide job coming. Gowans was prepped for it. He was ready to turn back under and power out of the corner. Now he's on the outside looking in. Is he going to send one from 1.5 miles back? He's going to try and get to the bottom. Can't quite get there. And I wonder whether or not there was some damage on the number 8 that prevented him from getting the job done. Transfer spot goes the way of James Oliver.
Wow, what a battle. Ethan Winter wins by 7/10 from Nathan Van der Wacker, with Darcy Wilson completing the heat podium, and a great run from James Oliver to get into that 4th place after starting at the very back. Just a magnificent job there from the 35, but everyone behind him is going to have to transfer through the alphabet. Next up is Heat 2 with Tim Ryan and Bradley Oldfield, your front row. Oscar Ames and Craig Dunn, row 2. Daniel Grimshaw and Cole Ferguson are 5th and 6th. Final row of the grid is Bentley Summers and Brenton Hobson, who did not set a time in qualifying. We don't quite have a read on Hobbo's pace just yet, but in practice, he managed to set a 12.32, which was good enough for roundabout top 10 pace out of everybody in the field. So I'm expecting Hobbo to at least get amongst it here.
Yeah, the tricky thing is for Hobbo, he did actually set a valid lap time in qualifying, but for some reason it just blanked it out in the server. Like it didn't carry through. I was showing he did set a 24.443, so there was a time there, but that was also fractionally away from his practice time. So something went on, and again we saw him go over the berm. So whether or not the contact that he made with the wall, because I believe he might have gotten into it, was just after the start finish line, which means the time counted, but because you got into the fence within a certain time period after the start finish line, it voids, excuse me, it might have voided the lap, I think is what's going on for him.
I think that's what happened too. And, you know, sometimes you can have an unstable connection and that results in an abnormal lap message from the sim. I've certainly had that happen to me more than once. So, multitude of different reasons. Brenton Hobson could not have set that qualifying time, but now he has a chance to prove himself and potentially work into that transfer. What a front row this is. Tim Ryan and Bradley Oldfield, two very competitive drivers. Ryan, the most successful driver in ODSE competition over the years. He's going to take us to the green flag as Heat 2 is go, and he immediately forms to the high line. Oldfield attempting the slide job early on. Doesn't quite work. Ryan gets back up the inside there. Oscar Ames is going to pressure them there in third spot as there's a coming together for fourth, and spinning around is Craig Dunn. That's involved Bentley Summers as well, who gets into the wall, and we have two cars out of the heat already. Brenton Hobson will certainly be happy with that one. He's working his way steadily forward as Cole Ferguson and Dan Grimshaw battle over the transfer spot. Ferguson having some connection problems. Oh dear.
Hobson, he went up and over he's down on the other side of the banking at the moment, so unfortunately for Hobson, he's doing his best to get that car back up and see if he can't finish the heat, because we're this close to there being some sort of drama happen to those guys that are up ahead of him, and he might just get a transfer spot just by being the last guy still running, unfortunately for the guys that are in front of him. But at the moment, Cole Ferguson's got it from Dan Grimshaw. This is the battle that's going on for the race lead at this point in time. Tim Ryan's managing to maintain momentum in the top side of turn 3 and 4. But Bradley Oldfield is trying to just break him, just anything he can possibly do to subtract from that momentum.
Yeah, you can see that in turns 1 and 2, Oldfield is dipping below that slick groove that's starting to form at the top of the circuit. He's trying to work the middle and make it a bit more raceable at the moment. Ferguson, meanwhile, catching up to Dan Grimshaw for third place. Grimshaw running that high line, but Ferguson is also making the lower line work. So these are some hints as to how the track's going to evolve as time goes on. It is the final lap, though, and Tim Ryan leads from start to finish. He is your winner of heat number 2, with Oldfield and Ames rounding out your podium. Ferguson gets the transfer into 4th. And Brenton Hobson did end up seeing the flag. He did end up getting on the circuit again, but ultimately, he had already lost a lap by that point, so has to settle for 6th and getting into the C or B mains. So a lot of opportunity for improvement there from a few drivers in that field. Time, though, for heat number 3. Another 7 cars looking to take the start here, with Paul Bryan and Lachlan Mead on your front row. Nick Ryan and Colin Bokus, the American, on the second row. Ayrton Smith and Paul Ward are 5th and 6th, with Brock Thompson on his lonesome on row 4.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one for him to come from the back. But Paul Bryan, a lot of speed for Paul Bryan here tonight. He's got to see if he can't translate this one into a top 5 spot for the feature. That'll be a huge opportunity to put something together for him. And I know the mark of confidence that it gives him for the back half of this championship as well would be supreme. So definitely a big opportunity to put one further step forward. Qualifying went well. Now time to capitalize for the heat.
Yeah, for sure. Waiting, poised at pit exit here at Lernerville. Like most dirt ovals, they're on the outside of the circuit, and they roll out on the exit of turn 4. Away goes the pace truck, and nice little view of how the track's evolving here. Big slick line across the top, but you still see a little strip of fresh clay right on top of the berm. That's what drivers like Tim Ryan were searching for in the previous heat, but I think more and more drivers are going to start doing what Bradley Oldfield and Cole Ferguson did in the previous heat, and try and look a little bit lower.
Yeah, I think that you're right. The top's starting to go away. There is a thin berm up there that's still usable at the moment, but that's rapidly going away. 3 and 4, the top line is still there and actually looks quite good. There's actually quite a good margin up at the top end of the track, so there is something to use over in 3 and 4, but over in turn 1 and 2, well, there's a ton of old boats down on the bottom side of the racetrack. Don't take your sprint car down to join them.
Certainly not. I guess at least it's a nice wide expanse. It is downhill, so not ideal, but plenty of space to arrest your speed if you end up going over. Let's get the full throttle then. In the hands of the 42 of Paul Bryan, green flag for heat 3, but he completely bottles the start there and falls all the way back to 5th and over the berm in a spectacular fashion is Colin Bocas. He didn't even make it out of the first turn there. What a chaotic start. Lachlan Mead leads the heat as they're 3 wide for the transfer.
Yeah, just a jet stage right. Was he driving a sprint car or is he driving the new Boeing sprint car? I think is the big question I'll be asking about him. Right, Paul Bryan still trying to get back into his grid slot. Didn't necessarily get the best getaway. Now Nick Ryan's managed to jump ahead of him. Brock Thompson's found the speed on the bottom end of the racetrack. Here comes the replay.
Oh, contact on the way to turn 1, and Bocas had no chance to react to that one. It's going to be a real shame if that ends up ruining his night. Bocas certainly a confident and capable racer. He did win the feature back at Oswego, so he's got pace to be successful. He's going to have to race a little bit more to try and get to the feature here. But Brock Thompson, for the moment, holding on to 4th after starting down in last place. And he and Paul Bryan will be looking for some more here as Bryan makes his way around Nick Ryan. They were briefly 3 wide for second, and Thompson then moves into second as Bryan is starting to trade these spots with him. Lachlan Mead is out on his own there as these guys are fighting over the last spots.
Yeah, you say that, but Mead just made a mistake on that previous lap. Now they're starting to track him back down. He's got no momentum. Paul Bryan starting to come back at him. It is on. Throw a blanket over the top 4. It looks like there's not going to be much of a fight for the last spot in the transfer, but it's where you transfer out of this heat. And Mead makes a huge mistake as he gets down to 1 and 2. Super sideways. Paul Bryan's going to cover him off as he cuts slow to try and cover up the slide jump. Is there going to be room to slide back up? Nick Ryan goes to the fence, finds some path to get through. Does he manage to steal this one on the line? No, he does not by just a couple of licks in that one. But I tell you what, 17 thousandths of a second in that P2 was how tight it was. Paul Bryan gets back to where he started. 1, 2, and 3 where they started on this one.
Jeez, I did not expect that after seeing how Bryan lost so much pace there on the start, but he worked hard and he worked his way back up to that lead. Beautiful to see. Mead, Ryan, and Thompson will join him in the feature with Paul Ward, Etten Smith, your last 2 finishers. Colin Bocas, unfortunately, not even making it past the first turn there. Hopefully, the remaining races are a little better for him. Time for Heat 4. Blake Walsh and Bailey Leeson are your front row. Blaine Densley and Nathan Norman share row 2. Mitchell in 5th with Nash Granger in 6th spot. And in 7th place would be Brady Baldwin. But our league administrator is doing race control tonight, so he's not going to be racing. 6 cars for this one.
No, he's going to be sitting on the sidelines, unfortunately for him. Someone's going to take over the duties, and did just hear as well an update on Clayton Davies, who are missing. Might be a work-related accident, unfortunately for him, is taking him out of tonight's racing. It looks like he's at the hospital, so big hopes for Clayton that he's actually okay and that everything goes well in getting the issue sorted for him.
Yeah, these dirt guys do like to have a joke around with each other, so it's often hard to tell whether or not they're being serious when they say stuff like that. But if that is indeed the case for Clayton, hopefully you get well soon, mate, and we see you back out on track. You're one of our top competitors in this championship. It'd be a shame to lose you. Also, a bit of extra context for the previous heat's start. Apparently, Paul Bryan lost force feedback, so that's a bit of a scary thing to happen on a race start.
Yeah, well, that explains why he was having so many issues with trying to get that car up to speed. It also explains why he came on strong back end of the heat, because it generally happens. It's one of those things where you lose force feedback. Sometimes it comes back, sometimes it doesn't. So it might have come back halfway through that heat, and he might have actually settled back in. Alternatively, it stayed away, and he just learned how to drive around it and got quicker basically as the heat went on, which is also never a bad thing as well. Sometimes you just learn to adjust.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, back when everyone was still using gear-driven force feedback wheels, that some of the top world championship drivers in sim racing didn't run force feedback, and I still can't quite get my head around that, but it is possible. Let's go for this start then. Wait for them to fly on by here for the race start. Blake Walsh leads into turn 1, but trying to dip low is Bailey Leeson and Blaine Densley. Densley going to fight his way alongside, or at least attempt to here, as we make our way onto lap 2. A bit of a more orderly start than we've come to expect here from these heats, and Blake Walsh will easily find his way into that lead.
Yeah, at the moment, the track's starting to slick out, so it's starting to play itself more into his forte. Slickmaster moves up to the point of this thing. It looks like the high side might be where the momentum still is for the moment, but he is rapidly starting to wear out. You're starting to see them try and use a couple of different lanes. Nathan Norman's going to move to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find anything at the moment. Bailey Leeson's ripping the top just a little bit better than Blaine Densley. There's the slider to take it away from him. That's going to play Nathan Norman back into this picture. They can really make contact over into 1 and 2. Here comes the slider from Norman, and over the banking! And away from the racetrack.
Thomas Mitchell went off, and as well as Nash Granger. So that makes it basically only our top 3 that were able to keep it on the racetrack there. Oh dear, the 52 of Leeson gets into the wall on the way into turn 1. That will have done some damage to the right rear, and potentially Nash Granger will see a top 4 on his horizon here. The leaders coming round to start the final lap. These guys still have some mileage to cover, but you can tell that car is hurting a bit there for Bailey Leeson. Blake Walsh, meanwhile, up the front. He has held that lead for the longest time, with Blaine Densley trying at every opportunity to overcome him, but couldn't get it done. Side by side for second on the way to the line. Walsh wins. Densley and Norman are your podium, and it looks like Bailey Leeson is going to hold on to claim the transfer spot.
Yeah, he does just manage to hang on to that one over Nash Granger. And Granger was making time for him, but he just wasn't able to keep the momentum up in 3 and 4. Was his big weakness in the slicker part of the groove down there, but he does manage to get in as Bailey Leeson. So it's going to be Walsh from Densley, Nathan Norman, Bailey Leeson, get your transfers. Drivers relegated to the alphabet are going to be Nash Granger and Thomas Mitchell.
And for the final heat of the night, Joel Berkeley and Harry Stewart. What a front row that is. Hadley Boyce has got John Schultz for company, 3rd and 4th, with Matthew Stables and Jamie Stovald rounding out the top 6 cars. 7th and last is going to be Jaden Russell for Synergy Sim Racing. One of the more embattled drivers of the season is Jaden Russell. He's certainly one of the guys who can get out there and win. He does have a feature win to his name, but unfortunately, his results this season have not quite backed that up. We're going to take another look at what happened here to the number 28. Yeah, oh goodness, and I think the 25 of Granger there might have gotten a bit distracted by that happening right in front of him.
Yeah, challenge. And the big thing is, remember we were talking about that cushion moving up the track? They're on the limit now. There is no more limit. You can just see there's just a tiny little bit of the lip over here in 3 and 4. But over in 1 and 2, there's nothing left. They are now right on the limit with where the grip is. So you've now got to make a decision. Do I keep ripping up there where it's risk versus reward and the risk has grown substantially? Or do I come down the track and maybe think about what I'm doing a little bit? Maybe take a lot less risk, but I'll be far more consistent.
That's the balance you have to strike around Lernerville. I mean, when it comes to most other dirt ovals, you do think about the same things, but you have the added security of the wall being there, so you at least have something to bounce off of if you overcook it a bit. You don't have that luxury at Lernerville. You'll just go sailing over.
Yeah, no protection up there whatsoever. Have a look at the second groove now starting to form as well, just below that top slick. The lanes are changing. That's why we love this format, right? So... But yeah, the big problem with going over the banking here is that it falls away. I was just doing some reading as well. 1967, this track was open. It was scheduled to be open in 1968, but there was some rules and regulations changes that were coming in. Maybe it was the requirements for there to be a wall on the outside.
Potentially. Well, plenty of dirt ovals with great history in the United States and a bit more virtual history to be made here tonight as we get ready for Heat 5. Joel Berkeley nails the start and leads into the first turn. They all go low this time. So they've been observing what's been happening to these heats, and they've learned those lessons that everyone has unfortunately come a cropper from. But Harry Stewart swapping up high in 3 and 4. He wants to try and challenge as Stovald and Schultz battle at the back. Schultz has lost his front wing there and makes contact with Stovald, and it looks like the 78 might have some trouble getting to the finish there, to say nothing of Jamie Stovald, who's probably got some suspension damage now.
Yeah, they're both in a world of hurt at this point in time. So for now, it looks like a top 4. They're going to be a breakaway and look to be lights out at this point in time. Going to be ripping it back towards the inside. Joel Berkeley's going to get a little bit of a rough up after he makes a mistake from Hadley Boyce, and Boyce has managed to surge to second spot in the heat at the moment. Now he can't get the angle on as he gets down into turn 3. We're struggling to just take a little bit of a read on Joel Berkeley as they try to rip their way down through there. Matthew Stables is going to move to the top of the racetrack. He's willing to take some risk because at the moment he's transferring out. At this point in time, it's going to be at the back end of this heat. Can he improve from 4th spot?
This is the question. They're under no pressure from behind for the transfer, so maybe it would be best for Stables to just consolidate and make sure he gets to the finish from here. But Matthew Stables he's hitting the wall just a little bit there. Boyce and Berkeley will continue fighting over that second spot, and Harry Stewart comes around to take the white flag. It's been a great one for Harry Stewart. He got up high at exactly the right time and has held on to that lead for the rest of the race here. Everyone's spaced out now, and the race is effectively over. Checkered flag out, and Harry Stewart wins the final heat of the night, presented by McSlide Race. Stovald and Schultz still trading spots for 5th and 6th, and ultimately contact across the line, and Stovald finishes ahead.
Yeah, so Stovald will get it done. But Harry Stewart's going to get the premium transfer spot out of this one from Joel Berkeley. Hadley Boyce and Matthew Stables all get out. Jamie Stovall and John Schultz. I got to be honest, I watched a fair chunk of their battle, and even though they were driving bent race cars, it was still probably one of the more entertaining runs of the night.
Well, hopefully we see a bit more from them here, because the C-Main is about to get going, and Schultz has got pole for it alongside Nick Mithen. Craig Dunn and Colin Bokus are 3rd and 4th, with Brady Baldwin and Jaden Russell 5th and 6th. Now, Russell didn't take the start of his heat, and Baldwin's in race control, so that 3rd row is going to be empty. Aston Hurley and Bentley Summers rounding out the 8 cars, getting ready to start. The C-Main presented by Apex Civil Solutions Queensland. And this is one of those fields where I'm not quite sure who to pick as a clear contender for victory. I think Colin Bokus will certainly be up there. He didn't really get a chance to show his pace in the heats and crashed out on the first lap. Hopefully the same thing doesn't happen to him this time.
Yep, this time it's going to be about settling yourself down. Big opportunity. Big difficulty to have to fight your way out of the C-Main, particularly if you're coming down from the back. So top 4 will transfer out. Bokus needs a big run here. He's had some speed this season. He's won one of the races already. Big opportunity early on in the season. Now he's got to fight his way through from this. So it should be there, should make it, but anything can happen when you're coming from the C-Main.
Absolutely. This is the last chance that you're going to have to progress further in the night. The top 4 from this race will transfer through to the B main. If you finish outside the top 4, you are going home. And then later on for the B main, transfer through to the feature if you finish in the top 4, and then you go home if you finish outside of that. So this is real crunch time for all of these drivers. John Schultz versus Nick Mithen at the front of this field, ready to enter that start zone. And Schultz has had his difficulties. Let's see what it's like for him starting from the front. The number 78 from Pace Syndicate leads us away for the C-Main. 10 laps on the cards, and it looks like a clean start from everybody, as once again most of the drivers electing to go low. Lowest I've seen anybody there from Nick Mithen, and it seems he's finding some pace, but not quite the case for Bentley Summers. He's going to have to be fighting with Bokus there at the back of the field.
Yeah, now it's try and find your way back through, and Colin Bocas, you're right, just can't seem to find a way through. Not really working out at the moment for the American driver, who's fallen outside of those transfer spots, trying to wrap the bottom at the moment. Have a look at this little bit of a battle that's going on for the 3rd and 4th spot inside the transfers. Bentley Summers now starts to arrive on scene as they take momentum away from each other. But that was not a great turn for Nick Mithen. Too much slide angle, and now he's starting to fall back a little bit more inside the clutches. Aston Hurley, he's gone for a wild ride that was worthy of a Hurley.
Certainly, Aston is looking for a good result here. He was in contention for a transfer in his heat, but didn't quite get it done. Ended up in the wall. And now he's going to try and see if that bottom line has anything to offer him. Not quite. He moves up just in time for Bentley Summers to arrive on the scene as Colin Bocas continues to struggle behind them into the final corner. Bentley Summers, oh, too much pace being lost there in the middle of the corner. Keep an eye out here for a potential move through the middle for Aston Hurley. Both of these shots live. Our leader down on the bottom, and it looks like Craig Dunn's managed to get it from John Schultz.
Yeah, great job by John Schultz to get his way up here. Led a few laps, but now it's going to go back the other way, and it will attack Aston Hurley's now lost a whole bunch of momentum. Now he's gone to the back end of this one. Bocas is starting to track back down these guys. They're going to come out of turn 4, start lap number 9. 2 more left to run in terms of the C main. Mithen's managed to get inside of Bentley Summers. Now Bentley Summers is going to get checked up. Can Bocas find a little bit of a turn of speed? Here comes the Y.
Yeah, here it comes indeed. Clear lead for Craig Dunn. Not much to talk about in terms of the lead, but it's still side by side between Bentley Summers and Nick Mithen. One more chance for them to sort out that top 4 there. Craig Dunn wins ahead of Schultz, and Summers and Mithen will join him. Transferring through to the B main, Colin Bocas just missing out by 0.3 of a second, and unfortunately for Aston Hurley, he lost a ton of time in the middle of the C main there and will finish 6th and last. A real shame for Mithen, Bocas and Hurley. We'll have to wait for next round to see them. But now it is time for the B main, presented by SimWrap Market. Huge shout out to SimWrap Market for sponsoring the B main, the grid of which is as follows. Matthew Gowans and Daniel Grimshaw are your front row. Paul Ward has got Nash Granger for company on row 2. Stovold and Boyd round out your top 6. Brenton Hobson in 7th alongside Ayrton Smith, with Thomas Mitchell and Craig Dunn rounding out the top 10. We have John Schultz, Bentley Summers and Nick Mithen, the guys who weren't able to transfer through from the who were able to transfer through from the C main, bringing up the rear here, but they need to work quickly to find their way up to that top 4. In this field though, I'm not sure it'll be an easy task.
Yeah, that'll be a tricky one for sure. 20 spots get condensed down to 4, and that'll be the challenging one. Oh, sorry, my apologies. 13 spots get condensed down to 4. I was already looking ahead to our featuring going, oh, look at all those names that are amongst them, but you're right. 13 spots down to 4 at the moment. It'll be Gowans from Grimshaw, Paul Ward and Nash Granger on the inside. And Jamie Stovold and Daniel Boyd will be the first row on the outside looking in. So some work to do for those guys. The challenge of this one, and the challenge of the risk versus reward, we've already seen it up and over the banking. But also don't forget, last round of the Pennsylvania Challenge. Can anyone stop Ethan Winter, or is this where he storms to victory in the Pennsylvania Challenge, and that sees him mount a big challenge towards our feature and the championship at large?
For sure. Going to be thinking about that a lot over the course of the night. And don't forget, it's not just points that are given out in the feature. There's points given for every single competitive session. So you need consistent results all through the night if you really want those points. Ethan Winter will obviously be thinking about that, and he's pretty much nailed the heat section of the night and skipped straight through to the feature. These guys, on the other hand, they've had to put a bit more track time in, and they'll be slogging extra hard to find their way onto the grid for the big race of the night. Matthew Gowans leads us away, and the B main is go. Great start from Gowans. And not many people running up high for the moment, and a lot of dust being thrown up now as the track's starting to dry out up high. Clean job from everybody for the first lap, but man, things are looking a bit bedlamish in the midfield.
I think one of the biggest issues at the moment is a lot of these guys are trying to figure out where to run. The guys at the back that just ran in the C main have got a little bit of an idea of where some of that speed is, and they're starting to bobble all around at the moment. Nash Granger has it from Daniel Boyd and Ayrton Smith inside your top six. But they're going to try and go over at Hobson for the third time tonight, up and over the banking, and that is going to spell defeat, unfortunately, for Brenton Hobson. So for the rest of the field, though, for Craig Dunn, he's going to try, my apologies, sorry, that's Thomas Mitchell, gets through down on the bottom. He just got ahead of Ayrton Smith. Here comes the challenge.
Yes, up the inside for the number 28 of Thomas Mitchell, 3 wide for the transfer. And we have Ayrton Smith right in the midst of that as well. Smith gets past Daniel Boyd. The number 64 of Ayrton Smith is one to watch here as he's working that middle line very nicely. It seems like the pace is pretty equal, depending on what line you pick. But for the moment, Thomas Mitchell still holds on in the number 28, and he's looking to go for third as well, right up with Paul Ward, but loses momentum in the middle of the corner. He's going to be running all the way down to the grass now.
Yeah, that's the thing, is he's been one of the early guys to drop to the bottom end of the racetrack, and it's working for him. If you have a look at where Ayrton Smith is a little bit deeper in the field, he's trying to run up against the fence still trying to rip that top, still trying to find some momentum. The problem is, some of that loose dirt has started to shuffle its way up at the top race. The only problem, it's covering slick.
Certainly is. It's a lot less grip than you'd be expecting. Running up high. Ayrton Smith almost going over the berm there as he goes round the outside of Paul Ward, trying to get into third place. And oh, there we go. Ward making a big mistake out of turn 4, falls down to 5th. So for now, Ayrton Smith has a spot in the feature. There's big racing going on further back. Bentley Summers trying to charge his way up. And for the moment, Dan Grimshaw and Thomas Mitchell now fighting over second place. It's looking mighty quick between those two. Summers and Granger side by side on the way into turn 3. And they are only a few positions away from that magical transfer, but Smith is skipping away. He's following in the wheel tracks of Mitchell and Grimshaw, and things are looking all right for him. Matthew Gowans is going to take victory in the B main. Thomas Mitchell finishes second ahead of Dan Grimshaw, and Ayrton Smith just sneaks into that magic 4th place.
Bentley Summers went up and over the banking on that last lap of the race too, but he only just went over the top. He managed to keep it together, so managed to get out of there. But the transfers, Gowans from Mitchell, Grimshaw, and Ayrton Smith. How about that drive through from Thomas Mitchell? Went from the back end of the field, cut his way through, got to second. That's a phenomenal drive, and at the right time in the night as well, because he's going to transfer into this feature and have some of the best track knowledge with how the car was driving.
Absolutely. If there's no track reset for this round, I certainly think Smith will be one of the best prepared for that one. But it looks like Brady has confirmed to us no track reset, so indeed keep an eye out for Ayrton Smith. Now it's time for our good friend, the spinny wheel. The first sequence we are going to have a look at is the back positions. Is that correct that 3rd place is there? No. There we are. That looks a bit better. 7th place takes its place on the wheel. Positions 6 through to 10 to decide. Nathan Vanderwacker is the first up. So Nathan, things looking good for you tonight here at Lernerville. Let's see where you end up.
I've hoped if you kept the third number on there. Oh, I'll take a 6. I'll take that. Probably one of the highest starting spots of the year as well.
Yeah, best case scenario for you coming through that.
Cheers, thanks guys.
All right, Nathan Vanderwacker will start in 6th for the feature. Next up, Bradley Oldfield. So the best you can hope for out of this one is 7th for the feature start, Bradley. Let's see where you end up. Inside or outside for the start?
Oh, I don't know. Oh,
Well, looks like it's going to be in outside, 8th for
I
you.
don't even know what to make of this. So I think we'll just make hay with what we got.
Yep, fair enough. Lernerville tends to be a bit of a polarizing track. Lachlan Mead up next. And, well, 7th, 9th, or 10th. I'll ask you the same question I asked Bradley. Do you prefer an inside or outside start here?
Oh, I don't want to go off the edge. Please give me the inside.
All right. It looks like you will get it. 9th place start for you.
There you go. Happy with that.
Nicely done. Now it's a question of 7th versus 10th. Blaine Densley. Successful run through the heats, Blaine. You are going to be competing for either the 4th or 5th row of the grid.
Lovely.
Once spinny wheel starts putting the brakes on about now. And, oh, you just sneak into 10th. The difference is a pixel. So that means that Joel Berkeley is going to be starting in 7th place for the
Good
feature.
morning.
Hello, Joel. Unfortunately, not pole this time, but it seems
Alright.
Lernerville's treated you pretty well.
Oh, apart from me being an idiot in the heat race, but that's alright. We're going to throw some good luck into Harry, and he's going to go get his first win of the season.
All right, well, we'll see how that turns out, Joel. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck for the race.
Ethan's going to 5.
All right, let's see if that's true. Ethan's joining us right now. And, well, season's looking good for you, Ethan. You lead the Pennsylvania Challenge coming into this round. You lead the championship as well. So it's going to be pretty important to get a high starting position here. And look at that, you've got pole.
Well, it's going to be my first pole of the year and probably definitely going backwards for sure. I am terrible on the cushion when it gets slick, so won't be venturing up there too often. So just hopefully can lock it down for a top 5. That'll be ideal at most.
All right, congratulations on your first pole of the season, Ethan Winter. And Tim Ryan, the next one to join us here. Pole position has been ruled out, but you still have the rest of the top 5 to choose
I
from.
bet your 5th is still available, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
No way.
You
What
guys
is
are
it?
really good at manifesting your starting positions. It's landed on 5th.
Oh, that is a rip. I'm so proud of myself.
You said it. You can't blame anyone but yourself, mate.
I reckon Brady's... I'm still convinced that Brady does this, hoping that one day I'm going to spend a bit of money to pay for this, to get rid of this spin wheel. All right. I'll see you boys on the bottom.
All right, catch you later, Tim. Good luck. And next up, Paul Bryan in the number 42. Great round for you so far, Paul. And you're going to get yourself a top 4 position at the very least. As the spinny wheel slows down, it looks like it is going to be 4th for you.
All right, thank you. See how we go.
All right, let's get a podium out of that one. It's time for Blake Walsh to bring us in for the last initial sequence here. 2nd versus 3rd, and it is going to be a 3rd place start for you, Blake.
Oh, we'll take it. It'll be right.
No more words needed. And Harry Stewart, well, Joel was hoping to manifest a pole for you, but that's not going to be the case. You are on the 2nd row, though, starting on the inside. 3rd place for you.
Oh, yep. Cool beans. Yep, cool.
What are you expecting from the start here? The track's dry and dusty, and everyone's going to be going low.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the case. I'll try and stay on the track. I ran the top 1 corner in the heat race after the checker, and I went off it. So I'm probably not going to do that. Or I will do that if I run up there, but I'll try not to. Yeah, cool.
So we made a little error writing down those positions. Actually, we should swap you and Blake. You're going to be starting second outside front row. So best of luck, Harry, and hopefully we see you on the other side.
Yeah, hopefully I'll finish. Yep, cheers. Thanks.
All right. That's going to round things off here for the spinning wheel section of the night, Scott. And well, while we're at it, shout out once again to Clayton Davies, who it has been confirmed is currently in the emergency room. Really hope that everything is working out for him. And the reason that Brady Baldwin is in race control tonight is our usual race control man, Liam James, currently has COVID. So here at SimSpeed TV, we wish the both of you a very big get well soon.
Yeah, both big characters as well, both very, very important to running and the way things work here as well. So fingers crossed, hopefully both are all ready and well to go. I was actually just out at a book club meeting just before this broadcast went live. I was chatting to a few people. COVID's doing the rounds up here as well. So yeah, I get the feeling COVID's doing the rounds at the moment. So for Liam, rest up, buddy. He was just keen for a night off from race control, to be fair. Do you feel like you'd want to be in charge of this pack of yahoos every single Thursday night? What a week off too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, last year and years before, I'd probably agree, but since the series went to invite only, the racing has really cleaned up, and we've had some great battles and hard racing without much of the toxicity that sometimes pervades racing that close. So, you know, yeah, I think though Liam has more than earned a night off. Just wish that wasn't under those circumstances.
Yeah, so I hope you're resting up, buddy. I hope you're enjoying and hope you're getting some hard-earned rest. You certainly deserve it. But yeah, you're right. I think one of the biggest things is over the last couple of years is that, you know, maybe there's some polish that's gone into sim racing. We're starting to treat ourselves a little bit more seriously. If you talk to... There's still some beef in the community. Beef is very, very important, though, to racing as a community. Because if everyone got on, if everyone wanted their P's and Q's, racing would be boring. I like the fact that sometimes somebody gets fed a right rear and goes, no, it was actually you that come down, and the other guy on the bottom goes, no, I held my line. Sorry, the guy on the top goes, you guys come up, and the guy that comes on the bottom, you know, he's like, yeah, you come up on me. So the fact that racing disagrees is very, very important to our sport. What's a line in racing? There is no line in dirt until you go over the top of a banking.
Indeed. Well, we'll see who goes over the top of the banking here. That was your top 10 there. And starting outside of the top 10, Darcy Wilson and Oscar Ames, 11th and 12th. We have Nick Ryan and Nathan Norman on row 7 with Hadley Boyce and James Oliver, 15th and 16th. Cole Ferguson and Brock Thompson are your 9th row of the grid. The top 20 rounded out by Bailey Leeson and Matthew Stables. Matthew Gowans, Thomas Mitchell, Daniel Grimshaw and Ayrton Smith transfer through from the B main to bring up the rear of the field. One more lap behind the iRacing pace truck. We can get things started here at Lernerville. And honestly, the field is super competitive up the front. I think this is going to turn out to be a classic. Yeah, this is going to be a big one. The fast repair available to the end of lap 10 as well. Don't forget that one. Still in the mix. Big opportunity though. Harry Stewart starting on the front row. Is this a night where he steals one? I think about Tim Ryan, who's there and in the mix on row number 3, on the inside of row number 3. He'd love a win. He's the most winning driver that we've had at Lernerville. He's been here. He's been successful. Could he get it done? Here we go. The wide open clothing A main begins, and Ethan Winter and Harry Stewart lock in those top 2 positions. Tim Ryan down low, trying to make his way past Blake Walsh, but Paul Bryan up high is carrying that momentum beautifully down the straights. Let's see if he can try and thread the needle here. Isn't quite able to get up the inside of Walshy there, and Tim Ryan will hold on to 3rd. Ethan Winter has lost a little bit of momentum down low. Harry Stewart currently leads the way, and he has parked it down low. They want to use all of that grip as quickly as they can.
Have a look at Blake Walsh, though. He's up there and he's ripping the absolute fence. See what he can try and do. Now he has found a little bit of time. Stewart's still ripping the bottom at the moment, but Winter is struggling. You can just see the car does not like putting its power down at the moment. And that means that Walsh has been able to find some momentum off the top step. That middle groove's starting to get worn out as well, so you can't run the middle. First caution of the night.
Yeah, Brady Baldwin throwing the caution flag. Paul Bryan went off and over the berm, unfortunately. I don't think that's what triggered the caution, though. We have a few cars coming in for fast repairs, and One of them is Cole Ferguson. Lachlan Mead and Matthew Stables up ahead of him. Coming into the pits. There's been a couple of comings together, and I can see that the right-hand side of Cole's big wing on top is looking a little crumpled.
Yeah, it's a little bit of damage that's going on there. I wonder whether or not we're going to break down of that one, because it must be a wild ride to get some damage on the wing. That is not an easy place to find the damage from. Here we go. This will be the ride for Ferguson. You can see the car on the inside. And looks like there's just a little bit of network issues have been for Cole Ferguson all night long, unfortunately, with his internet connection. So whatever's going on at the moment, he's been significantly impacted thus far.
Yeah, not ideal for Cole Ferguson, who is almost always up there in terms of pace, but when you're racing this closely around a dirt oval with sprint cars that produce upwards of, well, about 750 something if you're in a 360, 900 plus if you're in a 410, it can be incredibly difficult when your internet decides to say no thank you. Well, restart will be double file, and Harry Stewart has had pretty much the perfect start to this feature. Now it's up to him to hold on to it.
Yep, got it started. Now he's going to get the eyes forward, see what he can do. This is the field that is starting to chase him down. Change of sides as well for Blake Walsh, who is ripping the top here. He's going to have to restart from the bottom of the racetrack. That could lead to a few moments. He was comfortable and finding speed at the top, and you saw Ethan Winter was starting to make a few mistakes at the bottom. Stewart looks solid no matter where he places the car, so he's got a really, really good car at the front end of this one. Let's hope he doesn't wear those tires.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to have to think about if the feature drags on for a bit longer. And of course, no track resets, so the slick up the top is still very much a threat. You would be brave to get up there, but they've certainly had their fair share of drivers who are going to thread that needle. Let's go then for the restart here to begin the fifth lap of this race. Harry Stewart dipping a wheel into the grass there. He wants to run as low as he possibly can, but Blake Walsh starts ripping the top again, and it looks like he's going to be joined by Tim Ryan and Paul Bryan. Caution out once again. There's been an incident at the back.
Now, there was a change of lanes there for Bradley Oldford. He was trying to get to the top. Something's happened to Matthew Gowans, though. He appears to be the locus of this one. He's going to come to the pit lane for faster. Have a look at all the way down the bottom of the racetrack.
Oh. Okay. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there with the Vermilion car of Nathan Norman, who himself was getting a little pinched by James Oliver and Hadley Boyce. Well, they slow right down to allow the pace truck back out there. Of course, the problem with back-to-back cautions is sometimes when the caution comes out, the pace truck is still making its way back to its designated spot at pit exit. So you have to slow down to actually let it come to the front of the field.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes off and just rips through the field as well. 5 laps into this one, it's already halfway through that fast repair period. And I think the big thing is, you know, when you get into the back half of these features, everyone's sort of started to figure out the lines, where to run, the groove that you're in, and the multi-wide style situation. But the front end of this heat, everyone's starting to try and figure each other out, where you can run, where you can't run. The other thing is the track tends to go away as well. Have a look at how slick it is in the middle of the racetrack right now. There is not a lot of grip, and that dirt that was up the top, it's starting to go away. We might have a bottom feeding racetrack right now.
Yeah, I think that's almost guaranteed at this point. I mean, you saw how early the leaders went down low there. They're desperately searching for any bit of tacky, fresh clay down on the bottom of the racetrack, and it's almost black up the top of the circuit there. As the restart is single file this time, Harry Stewart leads us away. Ethan Winter follows in second. Walsh once again straight to the top of the circuit. He looks comfortable there. Caution's back out again.
Yeah, Nick Ryan got into somebody, and it might have been Darcy Wilson. No, it was Bradley Oldfield.
Oh, yeah.
Bradley Oldfield had a PC crash.
Oh, no, yeah, no speed at all for Oldfield. I've just taken a look, and, yeah, his car just stopped accelerating, and everyone was caught out by that. behind him. So no fault of Bradley Oldfield, but this would have been very frustrating for Nick Ryan, who sees Oldfield there very slow. And then he spent a bit of time deliberating which way to go, but by then it was too late.
Yeah, that's the challenge, and Nick sort of had nowhere to go as well. The good news is there is fast repair window still open for everyone that's going to dive to the pit lane. But yeah, such is the issue, unfortunately, in these ones. So, big thing I like saying, and I was just reading an article just before we went live as well. You know, what you got to remember at the end of the day is the graphical sim that we're on has had so many bits and pieces tacked onto it. But the original engine is from 2003. It's done a phenomenal job to hold up this long.
Yeah, for sure. The core code of iRacing is crazy robust, and another view of Oldfield, and I think it was more a PC freeze than a PC crash, because he was able to make it back into the pits, and he is back out on the racetrack in last place now. So bit of an unfortunate, embarrassing incident, but again, no real fault of Oldfield's. Sometimes stuff like that happens that's just out of your control.
Yeah, that it is. So he'll still be in here, and he'll still get a crack at this one. This is the Pennsylvania Challenge standing points at the moment. Something's got to happen to Ethan Winter at the moment, but it's interesting that Darcy Wolfson sits second.
Certainly is. See where he ends up here at the moment. He is actually, I don't know if he's even in here at the moment. Oh yeah, he is. There we go. As the yellow's back out again. Well, 7th place for Darcy Wilson, but man, we are getting off to a very slow start for this feature. Seems like every time we put the hammer down, something goes wrong.
Yeah, and I just saw an issue for James Oliver. Had an issue of some description, and caution's going to come out for the issue with James Oliver.
Check up. And that was the number 52 that got into him there. Bailey Leeson, a little bit less speed than Oliver was anticipating through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, issues, unfortunately. For Cole Ferguson, remember we were talking about his internet was having a little bit of issues earlier. He's going to head to the back end of the field and just circulate. He's out here just to pick up points, unfortunately for him now. But that's a safety requirement. You got to remember, have a look at the speed that we're doing around these racetracks with these cars. And the thing is, the quicker the car, the less response time you have, which means, you know, league admin take a look at it. They've given him every opportunity to try and fix it, and they've also provided a solution to him whereby he can still score points tonight. But for Cole Ferguson, he's just going to trundle around at the tail end of the field, unfortunately for him. But hey, some points better than no points.
Absolutely. Cole will have to take that one as we're back to racing once again. And Stewart's holding on nicely, but now Blake Walsh has a chance to build up some momentum here with running the high line. Tim Ryan joining him up there, and both of them starting to advance forward here. Ethan Winter now still leading the Pennsylvania Challenge standings, but at the current positions, Nathan Vanderwacker taking second back from Darcy Wilson, and Harry Stewart up into 4th with Gowans in 5th. Let's see how, oh, that's a spin, half spin from Joel Berkeley. Almost gets involved with the field coming up behind him, but everyone avoids the checkup, gets back past Paul Bryan without much issue, holding on to 5th place. And now we see Blake Walsh and Harry Stewart for the lead. Blake Walsh has made his way to the front of the field here, running the high line, and he's going to cut underneath. Harry Stewart has to do the slider. And does it work out for him? All of the grip goes away in the middle of the racetrack, and Stewart takes it back, but they're side by side on the way into turn 4. Stewart moving up the racetrack to try and block Blake Walsh's advances. Tim Ryan creeps ever closer.
Yeah, this is every opportunity that they wanted to see as well from Tim Ryan now down behind him, but Stewart is not necessarily generating the momentum. He's forced to go into slide job mode because Walsh is starting to generate some pace. We're still not halfway through this one as well. Don't forget, start-finish line on this track is right towards the front end of things. Grip continues to go away from this racetrack. Now it's going to be back in the hands of Blake Walsh. He transitions to the bottom. Oh, there's multiple cars. Both Ryan and Harry Stewart have gone over the banking. Can you believe that? Second and third went over the banking. That's how hard they were pushing.
That's crazy. I've never seen that happen before. Both Tim Ryan and Harry Stewart almost synchronized, pushing too hard into turns 3 and 4. Another view of it here. They started to build up some momentum on Walsh, but you turn in just a little too late, you get a little too sideways, and over you go.
My word, I can't believe both of them went. One, you know, that's how hard you're pushing, but both of them, that just says both of these guys were hammer down, trying to work their way forward. Keep your eyes on them, just up and over.
Wow. And the caution was called pretty early, it looks like. So it seems that at the very least, yeah, they're actually going to resume the positions they were in before that. That's I think that's a bit of a lucky break for Tim Ryan and Harry Stewart. Although it looks like their positions may or may not be swapped. No,
Yeah, they'll be
okay.
revoked.
Yeah, they're doing some rearranging here of the field there. Tim Ryan given an end-of-line penalty, sending him all the way to the back of the field. And I wonder if the same thing's going to be happening to Harry Stewart there.
Yeah. So there's two drivers that are at fault for triggering the caution. Both of them been sent to the rear. So
wow.
Tim Ryan and Harry Stewart both go to the tail end, and they were fighting for a race win. Now they're going to try and cut their way through.
And thinking bigger picture, those two, some of the most successful drivers in this league, and their 2025 has already been a bit on the back foot. So this is once again a big blow to some of our former top competitors. Well, we're getting the start off again here. Paul Bryan finds himself in 3rd place, chasing Ethan Winter down for 2nd, but Joel Berkeley has found the line at the top, makes contact there with Paul Bryan, and sweeping through is Oscar Ames to grab a spot in the top 5, or at least try to. Darcy Wilson still holding on in that top 6-7 area, and he'll be able to protect himself from Gowans and Bryan for the top 3 in the Pennsylvania Challenge. Side by side all the way through the field. Looks like it's a good day to be a Tinder car.
Yeah, challenging right up at the pointy end of this thing at the moment, because Darcy Wilson's on the low side compared to Joel Berkeley, who's going to try and rip the top. There's just nowhere to feedback, and Wilson nearly makes a mistake, gets up the racetrack into those guys, so it's challenging. Just a couple spots further ahead. Then you got Densley, then you got Vanderwacker, who are both back up inside the top 10. Vanderwacker's been a pit lane. He's already taken on a fast repair, cuts his way back through to 8th on the track at the moment. Now he's looking to challenge for a couple spots further ahead of him. Think about all the drivers. We've seen quite a few of them take the pit lane for the spare cars here tonight. But there's a huge moment. Somebody at the back end of the field's gone around and gone tumbling back through the order. I thought it was about 21st spot or so, which maybe James Oliver or Cole Ferguson, one of those.
It was Cole Ferguson, I think. Actually, no, it was both of them. Nathan Norman, actually. Nathan Norman went over the berm in turn 4 and then smashed into the wall right as Cole Ferguson arrived on the scene. Also saw that James Oliver had gone over the berm too. This is what happened to Norman right there. And he tries to get back onto the racetrack as Cole Ferguson comes in, and then, contact there with one of the Tinder cars for Nathan Norman, and Cole Ferguson couldn't really do much to avoid that one.
Yeah, he was just wrong place, wrong time, unfortunately for Cole. But that's another car. Now 3 in the feature have gone over the embankment, over the top of the end of the berm. So everyone is challenging. Everyone is pushing as hard as they possibly can be, and the mistakes are starting to come out thick and fast.
Another view of Nathan Norman as he had his troubles. Oh yeah, that was Oldfield that turned him there, unfortunately. Oh, the start's gone off again, and Blake Walsh has fallen to 3rd. A bit of a mess up there with Paul Bryan now occupying 2nd. Walsh is going to try and get that position back as quickly as he can. Oh, barely any room there for Paul Bryan to make around the outside. And Joel Berkeley sweeps through into 2nd place with Walsh, Ames, Ryan, Wilson, Vanderwacker and Densley all fighting over that last spot in the top 4 positions.
Yeah, there's nothing absolutely in it. Joel Berkeley's cutting his way back through. He now sits 3rd on the racetrack. He's transitioned all the way to the bottom end of the racetrack right now, trying to find some grip. Anything he can do to find some bite. down there for that right rear tire. If he can pick up the throttle, if he can make any sort of momentum gain. Paul Bryan's on the top of the racetrack. He made a touch of mistake. Now he's going to get to the barrier. He goes through for the slide jump, goes bottom to top, takes the line away. So the challenge is on for third spot. Blake Walsh was up there, was challenging for a race win, but it's the defending champion. It's the series leader. It's your Pennsylvania Challenge leader that's got control of this thing.
Joel Berkeley just giving enough room to Paul Bryan there to stick it up the inside, and we see the second IndyCar, Darcy Wilson, making a good use of that bottom line, but it looks like the momentum is starting to come back to the middle and the top. Wilson is going absolutely nowhere right now. He might have to try something different if he wants to finish on that podium. Berkeley, Bryan, and well, now they're all coming up on Cole Ferguson. This is bad. This is bad. Cole Ferguson right in the middle of this one. He's a lapped car, and it almost causes chaos. Nathan Vanderwacker just sneaks through. That has spread out the battle just a little. 9 laps to go. And, well, Ethan Winter and Blake Walsh will be minding their own business at the front because it's all going off behind.
Yeah, that it is. It is just a scramble fest outside of the top 4. It's back to Paul Bryan and Oscar Ramez, who are really starting to challenge each other for 3rd and 4th. Caution's going to fly as we are going to set for a reset. Nick Ryan, something's happened to him. We're going to have a restart with 7 to go.
Oh boy, things really starting to build up here, so keep an eye on the yellow number 7 there, and Nick Ryan. Did he go over the berm in turn 3 and 4? No, he was down low. It was contact with Tim Ryan. Oh, and it got worse afterwards. No control there for Nick Ryan, apparently. And I'm not sure who it was that collected him there. But either way, that's a... looks like Hadley Boyce might have been the one. No, it wasn't. Lachlan Mead, I think. Lachlan Mead is also towed back to the lane. So, yeah, confirmed. It was Lachlan Mead who collected Nick Ryan. Oh, that's a real shame for Lachlan.
Yeah, that it will be.
Oh, man.
I think Tim Ryan's been sent to the rear again. Unfortunately, it's James Oliver's the other car that was involved in that one. So Tim Ryan, again, been penalised for being the trigger for the caution. He's gone to the rear twice now in this feature. He's getting aggressive. He's getting mad. He's a little bit hot under the collar. Watch out if you're around Tim Ryan. You might be the source of where that next caution's coming from. 7 to go. Ethan Winter fires it back underway.
Does indeed. Great momentum and almost doing a wheelie there. Oh, no. Blake Walsh in the wall. The caution has come back out. And Blake Walsh went airborne into the wall in turn 1. He is going to get that end of line, I think, to be the car that caused the caution. But have a look at this restart, Scott. This is a crazy error from Walsh. He got the wheelie there. No grip, and actually, I think that was Joel Berkeley that turned him around there. So Berkeley might get the end of line.
Well, there's going to be some debate on that one. There is absolutely some debate upon that one, and the extra debate on top of it was, and to paraphrase, because there's some energy between these guys at the moment, was the last time Blake Walsh got contact with Joel Berkeley as well. So this is an ongoing issue for him, so he's a little bit frustrated. I don't know if it was with Berkeley that he had issues on restarts last time, but there's been some issues for Blake Walsh historically on the restarts of late. So he is not having luck, and he was in with a really, really good chance of a strong performance in this one. Man, you got a feel for that 97. He was so quick tonight.
Yeah, certainly was. Our commiserations to him. I mean, it's just so difficult putting the power down in these things. There's so much power. The weight transfers right off the front, and if you're too abrupt with it, if you hit a bump the wrong way while you're getting up to speed, the front wheels just go off the ground. But here we go then. 6 laps to go, and the restart is on. Ethan Winter leading the way from Joel Berkeley and Paul Bryan. And it's on for 4th. Matthew Gowans with Oscar Ames in the 99, keeping his eye out for Darcy Wilson down low there, side by side on the way into the first turn. Paul Bryan starting to build up a bit of a margin there to attack Joel Berkeley for 2nd place. Everything can change in just a few moments in this championship. And Ayrton Smith, what a drive it has been from the number 64. He started dead last. He is now up to 8th and looking at 7th as he gets something inside of Vanderwacker.
Yeah, here comes the challenge. It's going to come through this middle of the pack. Van der Wack has had a reasonably smooth season, but he needs to make sure that he puts this one and locks it in. In the meantime, Anton Smith's not had a great season. This would be a great opportunity for him to try and slot his way inside of that top 5. Going to come to the stripe. There'll be 2 more laps left to run in the feature from Lernerville, the close out of the Pennsylvania Challenge. Has anyone got anything for Ethan Winter?
Let's see here, Paul Bryan working his way through there behind Joel Berkeley. The white flag flies, and we only have about 640 meters of racing to go. Paul Bryan, does he have any chance to pass Joel Berkeley? Gonna have to be a desperate dive, but Ethan Winter clear out in front. Big slide down low for Matthew Gowans. Winter crosses the line, P1, and he is your Pennsylvania Challenge champion.
Yeah, gets it done. What a Pennsylvania Challenge the number 1 car has had. He's just been lights out, consistent here. And the big thing is that he is going to walk away from this one with a huge bank of points that might start to set a few nails in the coffin for the way that this one is heading towards that final of week 16 of this championship.
Yeah, just incredible. Nathan Van der Wacker with a 7th place in the feature manages to nab that 2nd spot. Darcy Wilson, a consistent finish, managing to grab a top 3 there. Those are your standings for the Pennsylvania Challenge, and the feature results as follows. Ethan Winter by 7/10 of a second over Joel Berkeley. And, oh, okay, so there was a bit of confusion there. Okay, so yeah, there we are. Feature results with Paul Bryan in 3rd. Great run from the number 42, has to be said. Oscar Ames into the top 5. He's been searching for better results in recent rounds, making good on his pace there with Wilson and Van der Wacker in 6th and 7th. But Ayrton Smith from the back row all the way up to inside the top 10. Probably driver of the race there. Harry Stewart, he started on the front row, but unfortunately bringing out a caution and having issues further on, he has to settle for 9th ahead of Daniel Grimshaw, who rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, outside the 10 though, Brock Thompson from Bailey Leeson, Hadley Boyson, Thomas Mitchell. Think about the drive that he had to get through to get here. Wayne Densley deep in the field. That is not a good result for driver 27, James Oliver. Nathan Norman, Tim Ryan sent to the back twice out of 18th spot. Bradley Oldfield, whilst it says 19th in the score, but it'll be a touch better than that. Blake Walsh will not get home in 20th spot.
And same for Lachlan Mead, Nick Ryan, Cole Ferguson, and Matthew Stables. Stables was out only 5 laps into the race. Huge shame for him. For many drivers who are hoping for better runs here today. We'll get into our driver interviews for sure. First up, send our congratulations to Ethan Winter, number 1 on the car, number 1 in the championship, number 1 in the Pennsylvania Challenge, number 1 in the feature. Must feel good, Ethan.
Yeah, there's probably plenty to talk about, but not much about myself. I kind of ran a pretty clean race then. Obviously I talked to you guys before the race and didn't think to myself I'd be running the top, but I came to realize that I had to go up there if I wanted to, win the race, and probably fortunate that the 3 best or 4 best cars took themselves out, kind of different moments. Otherwise I wouldn't have been good enough to win that race. So certainly a lot of luck involved there, but I'll take it. It's good to be really consistent as of late after I think I missed 2 features earlier in the season, and was certainly behind the 8 ball. So glad with the results, and just looking forward to the next round.
Absolutely, and well, yeah, I think at the point where we noticed that the high line started to come back was when Blake Walsh was absolutely ripping the top and getting up amongst you guys. So I think that might have been the point you realized you had to go to the top as well. It's amazing how this track evolves over time.
Yeah, I was pretty content to let Blake go, and then Paul was kind of pressuring me there before a restart, and I think I moved up after he made a mistake, Blake, that is, on the restart, and kind of pulled away a little bit, and then he started to wind me back in, and caution came out, and then obviously something happened behind me. So yeah, once again, just kind of a lucky one, that one, but I'll take it, and it's a pretty decent race. So.
All right, well, the floor is yours. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go, Ethan?
Yeah, I just want to give a plug to Liam. I didn't thank LCJ Carpentry last week at Kokomo, so thanks to him for sponsoring that event. Thanks to yourselves, Jay, Scott, Reese, for always doing a good work on the broadcast. Brady, I think he was with Damon tonight. Thanks to those two, especially Brady for giving up his opportunity to race tonight. So, yep, thanks to them. Thanks to Neuropower sponsoring this race at Lernerville tonight. Wide Open Clothing for the series, Australian Speedway Results, District 23 Suspension Engineering, Trent Pullman Designs, Casey Simons Photography, our partners Vortex Simsport and Kenny Hoffman Racing, and of course thanks to Colin for putting this all together.
Fantastic. Ethan Winter there, leading pretty much everything coming out of Lernerville. Next up is the number 9, Joel Berkeley, who finished in 2nd place. Scott Rankin stood by.
Yeah, Joel, it's been such a run of form over the last couple of weeks, mate. Starting to run guys down at the tail end there, but unfortunately, you and Blake had a little bit of contact with a couple to go on that restart there. Walk us through what happened from your perspective.
Look, I barely got on the back of him when he sort of got tied up off a restart, but I said sorry to him, but he's going to think I'm an idiot, but not much you can do about it. I was trying to get a good restart, and he did the restart before and just got loose on or broke free on the out of 4 and sort of had nowhere to go, but it's not really an excuse, but sorry to him, and still happy to walk away with a second, considering we'll set up for the bottom. We weren't as good as I really wanted to be, but we were decent enough.
In terms of things, that one was challenging. We actually saw 2 of the cars are up towards 20 and both rotate off after going over the berm at the top end of the track. That was right up and against the maximum level of risk. Did you cut down, after you seen that moment, did you cut down off the top just a little bit? Does that make you just think maybe there is a little bit too much risk up here?
Look, I was just trying to survive, and I had a bit of a laugh when I seen Tim run off, considering he almost sent me backwards into turn one time. But other than that, it was a good night, and just scary track. You no room for error here, so you got to be on the edge of not dying, and it's tough to not throw it away.
Mate, in terms of things now, the back end of the championship, a couple of weeks left to go here, and a couple of rounds remaining to us. Confidence level heading into the final few rounds.
Yeah, we're happy with the pace we got. Just got to work on a few things and do a bit better in race myself and know what to do. But if we have a strong end of the season, we should be able to. I know with Clayton, no show not, should be able to run second in the championship unless something major happens to Ethan. But we'll see how we go and just keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully we can. If I make every week, who knows? I'll probably have a week where I can't even make it due to work commitments or something. But we'll just see what happens.
Mate, congratulations on P2 here tonight. Who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out to?
Yeah, just massive thanks to the guys at Slick Simsport and Brady and his team for doing what they do and use for broadcasting.
Congratulations, brother. We'll see you again in a couple weeks' time.
You will.
Well, Joel Berkeley can celebrate another podium, and it is the same for Paul Bryan in the number 42. Fantastic job, Paul. It seems that Lernerville really smiled on you today.
Yeah, it's my favourite track, Lernerville. I don't always do the best here, but so it's my favourite track, and had a good qualifying and was very lucky in my heat after that start, and managed to hold a good starting spot for the feature and just plod along there and get my first podium for the season. So happy with that.
As you should be, but it must have been scary on that heat start, finding out that you'd lost force feedback and trying to get such a powerful car off the line on a loose surface.
Yeah, as I said, basically right before I hit the throttle, the wheel just glitched on me and it turned hard right, and I just couldn't do anything. So, and then all of a sudden I let go and it was good again. I don't know what happened to the outside cars, but I'm just lucky they weren't there.
Yeah, very lucky indeed. But great battles in the feature as well. You were chasing down Joel Berkeley the whole way, and it seemed like you were getting attacked from all fronts, especially early on.
Oh yeah, early on I was probably a little bit too cautious, to be honest, at the start of the race. These guys are all very good drivers and fairly clean, but very aggressive at the same time. So if you don't get your elbows out a little bit, obviously as clean in a clean way, you get eaten up because the competition's too strong.
Well, next round in 2 weeks' time, we go to a very wide open venue, USA International Speedway. Do you have any expectations coming into that round? Is it one that suits you?
I like the longer tracks and the track. Well, this isn't a long one, but long enough. I struggle a little bit on Kokomo and that because I haven't raced there a lot. So yeah, looking forward to USA and fingers crossed we can get another good result.
Indeed. Well, you have the good result from tonight. Floor is yours. Any shout outs to sponsors you want to give thanks to?
Just Speed Factory. We use their setups on the team. All the boys that man up sim racing, Sim Speed, and the boys at ODSE for putting on the league and the broadcast. And yeah, congrats to the other guys on the podium.
Paul Bryan in the number 42 grabbing third place tonight at Lernerville. Now, of course, we want to thank, Neuropower Rewards for title sponsorship of this round, a membership initiative run by Neuropower, founded by ODSE member Tristan Yelland. Huge thanks to them. And these are the championship standings coming out of this round. We're only going to have a few to go, Scott. Ethan Winter and Clayton Davies. Well, the gap is starting to fall a little bit further in Ethan's favor, especially because Clayton wasn't here tonight. But Berkeley, Vanderwacker, Oldfield, all still holding on to their top fives.
And critically, now we start looking at championship standings with all three drop rounds accounted for. So this is the truest picture that we're going to have down to the tail end of things. Have a look at the difference, though, between second and third place. Clayton Davies and Joel Berkeley separated by 6 points at the moment. The big thing, though, Brady and I had a podcast a month or so back, and we said at the point in time there was no consistency amongst the top 5 or so in terms of the points. We thought our championship winner was going to come from there. Since then, Ethan Winter has turned it up. Must have run out of gas in his burners at home, but he has all of a sudden turned that barbecue up to 11. It is firing on all cylinders, and I tell you what, if you're going to eat a burger from anywhere at the moment, it must be from Ethan Winter's stove. 5 rounds left to go. 21st of August is the next one, the Lakeland Challenge. I tell you what, it is getting spicy at the back end of this one, but it's going to be, you've got to shake up Ethan, and they've got to find something to take it to him.
Yeah, they really do need to find something. Also, shout out to Matthew Gowans as well. We were talking and lauding Ayrton Smith for his run up through the field, but Gowans made it from 21st to 4th, which is an incredibly fine drive at Lernerville. Let's see how he goes at USA Speedway. This is a track that doesn't exist in the real world anymore, and it was an asphalt oval. This dirt version is entirely fictional, but it's produced some fantastic racing. One of the first iRacing dirt oval tracks to be put into the sim, and it produces fantastic racing. It is wide, it is fast, it is flat out practically the whole way round in a sprint car. We hope that you can join us all on the 21st of August for that one. But until then, big thanks to all of our series partners and sponsors and the crew at Oceanic Dirt Sim Events for putting this series on. And congratulations especially to Ethan Winter, who takes the Pennsylvania challenge in the PA Throwdown here at Lernerville Speedway. I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin alongside me, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes here on SimSpeed TV. We'll see you next time.